What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. As you watch a Platini goal, nothing new. Just a side note, best player in the game when it comes to attacking. Yes, better than Pele. Yes, better than Romario. Yes, I had no idea until I packed him. Wasn't even going for him. Was like, oh, I got Platini, really? It was one of those first spin to win deals, right? Right on the first spin, get Platini. Didn't even think twice about it. Threw him in to try him, and next thing you know, I'm like, wait, he's not bad in the first half. By the second half, I'm like, this dude is amazing. By the next game, he's never leaving my team. By the next game, better. By the next game, better. He's insane. It's ridiculous. Add that classic number 10 play role, which is severely underrated. I had always said whole player, best attacking role in eFootball. Nope, that classic number 10. Or it's just how Platini plays in making that playstyle look good. Whichever way, though, Platini, unbelievable. So, the beautiful thing about eFootball is you can get these AI events, boring, done while you make an insane eFootball 26 video. Yes, eFootball 26, we got some breaking news, and we're going to react. So, let's get into it right now. Let me get into my handy-dandy eFootball switcherooski, and let's get into the video, folks.
2026 release date is here. So as we all know, the current version of the game is coming to an expected end. Not really the end, though. Just a series of updates will be rolled out, and some in-game assets will be carried over into the next version of the game. One thing I know for sure is that eFootball has been a roller coaster of emotions. Ever since it was changed from PES to eFootball, many players didn't like it at all. In fact, a lot of them quit the game completely.
I always talk about this. eFootball initial release was a disaster, and if you look at the history, all the way back including the PES days, this is a common theme. Konami rushes out the game whenever there's a new console. So when PS5 came out, right, they rushed the game out. So much nonsense, to the point where many people didn't even get through the BS to see that the core of the game was amazing. Like, one of these things about when you put this game on AI, considering the fact that it's supposed to be AI versus AI, you see the beautiful football. The problem is there's such a discrepancy between a player's skills and player versus a player using AI versus another player, let's say without it, that it ruins the game. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Indominator, being someone that has been deep into, the FC side of things, formerly FIFA, like since 2022, playing both games pretty much my entire life. But as many in pop culture do, I always consider myself a quote-unquote FIFA player, right? However, I did play a lot of PES games. Shout out Marlon Anthony with the history of PES. If you haven't seen that documentary, either watch that or watch my breakdown of that entire documentary on my channel. A little more of a Cliff Notes version, if you will, of the over 2-hour documentary. But you get to see a lot about the game, and one of the things that you will see in that documentary is that every new console comes out, Konami releases a game that isn't ready, trying to just be like first out or compete with FC's release date or whatever, and they blow it. And that just gives you a little insight into Konami. They're very driven by money, unfortunately. They do a very good job making legendary players true to life. They do better than FC at that. They do a very good job at making the passing and the movements and stuff feel very lifelike. They're better than FC at that. But everything else, it's like they're terrible at. Not even just bad at, terrible. And one of the biggest things they're terrible at is rushing games out when they're not ready. So many players quit and went to FC because there was just, eFootball or FIFA at the time. It wasn't even FC. And it was such a joke that even the most hardcore supporters who just wanted to play real football, though, left the game completely. Therefore, that started this whole low-skill, low-level player base theme that you're going to see, throughout eFootball at the beginning of PS5 all the way through to the current era. You'll see that in the documentary where Konami started just catering to these low-skill, low-level players that would just complain because They just weren't good at football. They weren't good at the game. And it's a big part of why we're here, why we're at a bad spot in this game's over 30-year history. So let's get back into it.
Konami had to make several adjustments to the gameplay, mechanics, and overall experience just to make it playable again. It wasn't the kind of change we expected. But one major aspect Konami never really worked on since the shift to eFootball is the coin system. Coins have become almost impossible to get. Unlike in PS, where you could create a new account and build a solid team without spending much money, this time around it's much worse. Grinding is nearly impossible unless you're willing to spend, and that can be really discouraging, especially for new users. Hopefully that part will be addressed in eFootball 2026.
That's something that many of us haven't been talking about, but we should be talking about it, right? Because they've basically made it to where if you want to enjoy this game, you have to spend money. And that's the unfortunate part, because people talk for years about EA Sports being the most greedy company, and eFootball, Konami in particular, making eFootball, could have went a route where everybody really could be included, everybody could play. If they had a mode like draft mode, where even the players, if they still wanted to go the route of having to purchase the legendary players, they could have made like a draft mode, right? Where every player was included in the database. Their draft mode would crush EA Sports' draft mode in FC, because their legendary players are way more spot on. It would be way more awesome to get like the different versions of these legends. They could even do like an eras type of draft, like this week it's this era of players, right? They could do a week where it's all, since they have these certain partnerships, where it's all Inter Milan legends, all Milan legends, all Man U legends. There's so many different things they could have done and made it at least where the free-to-play players had an outlet to use these amazing legendary players. But instead what you get is a game where free-to-play players are essentially left behind. They exist, which is crazy. The crazy part is that they would stick to this game despite being shunned so badly by Konami, right? I mean, even when they do like quote-unquote giveaways and promos with these top players, look what they do. They water them down. They gave us a pick, right? A player pick recently with Rooney, his introduction, a free Rooney, no way, at his intro, and look what his stats were. In a couple months, probably even less, probably actually coinciding with the release of eFootball 26, they're going to give this juiced up beast version. Why couldn't they just do that for this initial player pick, right? Same with the Gareth Bale. He's not a brand new player, and you give a watered down version of him. And the less popular players, or Khan, who's a popular keeper, but those players they did give like those top stats to. It's unbelievable. Or they just released this Neymar, Messi, and Suarez pack. Maybe people saved up for just that pack because they love those recent legendary players, right? And look what they did. They doubled up the amount of players you had to spin through to 300 from 150. It's disgusting, right? So even if you did save up just for that pack and grind all these coins to spend all of them on this pack, you go and look and you have double the chances of getting trash. If anything, they should have lowered it down to like maybe 100 players and said, here you go, guys. We know you love this group of players. We're going to make it a little easier for you. Nope. They went the other way. Spend more money to get these players. It's a joke. It's a complete and utter joke. And NFC, of course, they win this round with this too aspect of the game, because you don't have to spend a dime. You might not get R9. You might not get like Hullet, even though I did pack them this past year, right? And then they had an SBC if you saved up your fodder you could do for the 93, 94 version, a very high-rated version over in FC at the time, like where the power curve was. They were two of the best players in the game when I packed the 93 version, then the 94 version came shortly after. And you don't have to spend a dime, right? You literally can spend $100 for the game and get the FC points that you get from that Ultimate Edition purchase, and you'll be set for the rest of the year. Konami, they give you like, 4 or 5 players, and then say good luck, and there's nothing after that, right? I mean, I tried the whole free to play thing, and I feel bad for anybody who's free to play in this game. Not only is it terrible how you're treated by Konami, but it's also just not as fun because you don't get the legendary players are one of the best parts of eFootball. In a game where there's very little modes, right? Very little modes, very little rewards. It takes away a big part of the fun off the pitch.
As for the release date, the new version is expected to drop on the 14th, or maybe even a bit earlier. Let's just hope it brings more positives than disappointments. What are you looking forward to in Efootball 2026? Don't forget to subscribe if you can.
You know what's crazy as I watch those highlights from that is that those highlights, and I say this all the time, even on the front page of, when you turn on in the banner, is what they call it, of eFootball right now, the highlights and how the game looks and moves really draws me and it makes me want to play. Even watching this right now, this AI event, my team playing in this AI event, it really makes me want to play eFootball. Like, they truly have the secret sauce when it comes to that realistic look and feel of movement and passing, and like that weight of the pass, that weight of the player, those amazing sequences you can do, the give and goes and up, back and throughs and whatnot, right? It's incredible, like how it draws you in if you're a true footballer. And apparently it draws in lower level players too, because there's so many of them in this game. But you know why after you play the game and you see that every other area they totally botched. I mean, every other area Konami destroyed. eFootball, formerly PES, which was a game that took pride in being all about realism. If you were a PES player, it meant that you knew football. And now we've gotten to this trash where there's literally a feature called Smart Assist where the AI does everything, right? So you have Indominator, who is a former professional player, a content creator for eFootball, not an FC player turned eFootball player. No, he is an eFootball player that is now playing Rematch, that is now totally done with eFootball. You know that if it wasn't for like the content side, he wouldn't even be discussing it anymore, right? And this is a former pro, somebody who's a top player in the game that can't even stay in the Smart Assist. I mean, just think about that. And there's a lot of others too. Even some content creators that will sell their soul and swallow their pride and ignore the issue and act like it's not a big deal just for the sake of, wanting viewers. I'll give you an example. UFL, it's a totally destroyed game. Like the development company took a game that could have been maybe good. Like they had promised and just went down the wrong path every single turn. Just wrong path, wrong path, wrong path every single time to where they're so lost. I barely consider them a football game. They're definitely not competing with FC, much less eFootball. eFootball, much less FC. And I let everybody know the truth because I'm not a con man. I'm not just looking for views to make money and what these other losers are doing, because I was once you guys. I was once looking for honesty in these reviews. Honesty and help guiding me as to which game to play. And there's so many liars and so many people that are out for themselves that you never get the truth, right? Or very few players tell it, right? That's where I say shout out like Inception and content creators like that. Nick runs the foot market in recent years. I really like getting his feedback because it's just raw and the truth. And the truth is that both UFL, right, and eFootball are just totally lost, whereas EA Sports, terrible company, been terrible for years, ignored their people, like got too big for their britches or whatever term you want to use, drank their own Kool-Aid, big, rich, successful. They ignored their player base for years, but finally the player base actually spoke up. Didn't just say, oh, Konami won't listen, who cares, I'm not going to waste my time. Oh, they're not going to listen. Players finally spoke up, from the best players in the world of pros all the way through to the most casual players boycotting the game, leaving for good. And finally, EA Sports said, yep, we're going to make some changes. And now their theme for this next iteration is literally what the player base wants, right? getting their feedback, doing a ton of interviews with their lead developers, giving everybody an inside look at the game so they know we're for real gonna try to work this stuff out. All these issues you guys have. It's about you guys. Now, it took them long enough, and they don't deserve some type of medal for doing what they should have done for years. This actually started with that huge patch in the middle, months ago in the middle of FC25, which was unprecedented, right? Konami, you need to do something like this because you are going nowhere fast. So, a game coming out much sooner than FC26. You heard them, what, August 15th? FC comes out, what, late September? And still, we know so much about FC26. There's so much to be excited about, and we know nothing about eFootball, except for, of course, some of the new players that are coming that you want us to spend money on. Of course, that leaked out. But nothing on making the actual game better. Nothing on if the new setup in eFootball 26 will actually help free-to-play players more. Or if you'll keep rubbing their face in dog crap with basically saying, if you don't spend money, you're no good here, right? So, only time will tell. You let me know what you think. For me, I love this game. I want to stick to it. I took a hiatus from this game for years, after literally all the way since when the PES went from numbers to years, right? Which for me, I'm showing my age, but that was my college days. All my favorite PESs were the ones leading up to right as they switched to going to the PES with the years. Like from PES 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to PES 07, 2008, 2009, and then to come back and see like the beauty of eFootball, only to see how bad Konami is, just ruined what could be an amazing game, could easily be the king of football and gaming in the gaming world. It's a tragic thing to see as a gamer, a lifelong football gamer, but time will tell what happens. So again, leave in the comment section what you feel, what you're looking forward to, what you're not. Will you keep playing the game if they don't make any changes? Will you go to FC? Will you try to play both? I'm interested to hear what you think. And as always, keep grinding, keep having fun. Please, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you forgot. I get it. I forget too. There's a lot of people I follow, a lot of content creators that I forget to hit this subscribe button. I've since went back and subscribed to everyone because now I realize how important it is. So please, if you forget, don't zoom past this. Hit the subscribe button, and please join my Discord. The link is in the YouTube bio. It is $2.99 a month, a premium Discord channel, because there's so much to offer within it. The most engaging, most knowledgeable Discord in football gaming. So many top players, so many different people, 24/7 around the clock, different time zones, there to shoot ideas off of, to get tactical advice from, to just talk football, and not just eFootball, FC, UFL, real football, rematch, whatever. Get into it and support the channel while you're at it. Only $2.99 a month. Not to mention, we have memberships with YouTube where you can get content early. You also have a level where you can get 1v1 coaching, which when I did that back in 22 when I started my competitive journey, it changed the trajectory of my gaming level for good. So, just some things that we're offering, and there's a lot more to come, so stay tuned. Please join us for this journey because we want you on our team. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.